We are live. Welcome back.
Hi everyone.
Hello and welcome to the Speed Mooting Partners in Crime podcast.
Episode 50.
Episode 50.
Very soon we'll be celebrating a year of these podcasts.
We really will. How long, Hayley, until we've been celebrating 1 year of these podcasts?
53 weeks.
Yeah. So 3 weeks from now.
Ooh.
We're getting there.
We'll have to do something special.
I think so.
I don't know what.
Yeah, we'll figure something out, but we'll make it a special when we've been going for 1 year.
We certainly
Doesn't
will.
feel like a year though, does it?
No.
We've been recording this. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. It's like I was telling someone. Who was I talking to? Maybe when I was out with the girlfriends recently, and I was saying, "Oh yeah, it's been like 6 months full time with the business," and I was like, "No, it hasn't. It's like a year."
Nearly a year. Wow, that's crazy.
But anyway, if you're just tuning in and you don't know who we are, I'm Hayley.
And I'm John.
And we are both lawyers, and you are listening to the Speed Mooting podcast.
Yeah. So we talk about all things law, all things mooting, all things advocacy, all things trying to get into the law, and occasionally a few other bits and bobs, don't we?
Occasionally a few other bits and bobs, like
So
your love for wrestling,
Yeah.
our engagement and upcoming marriage that comes up.
Sometimes is it the Kardashians that come up?
Sometimes the Kardashians come up. Elle Woods has came up.
Yeah. Ironically, we've not talked about the Kardashians from the point of view of the fact that the dad was a lawyer, wasn't he?
The dad was a lawyer, a
haven't
very
talked about
famous lawyer
Yeah.
who represented O.J. Simpson.
He certainly did.
Even though I think he was a real estate
He was
attorney.
on the team, wasn't he? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know because I've never looked at the reality of it. I've only seen the
Oh yeah,
the
I'm
drama
basing what I
TV
say
show.
completely on the TV show.
And the thing is, it might be not factual in that regard. They have poetic license, so I don't know how true or not. But it seems like he was just there in the background, wasn't he?
He was just good friends with him, I think.
Yeah. But he might have had more involvement. We don't know.
I'm sure he did some research or
Yeah,
something.
probably did something. Yeah. But yeah.
Anyway, that's us.
Yeah. But that's us. Yeah. So we talk about a whole host of things.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, we need to name the episode.
We certainly do.
So, episode 50. Today's featured individual has had an episode previously, I think.
Okay.
But he's going to have another one because he's had multiple numbers.
Ooh.
He's going to have another one in about 7 or 8 months' time. He's going to have another episode.
Is this a Formula One driver?
He's a Formula 1 driver.
Okay. Current driver?
Yeah, so this season he's going to make his full-time debut because he was a super sub on 3 occasions last season. So he subbed for Ferrari on 1 occasion and Haas on 2 occasions.
Is it... No, he started last year, didn't he?
Go on.
I was going to say Oscar Piastri.
No, you got the letter right though. So it does begin with an O.
Oscar.
He's British.
Ollie Brennan.
Oh, you're so
Hang on.
close.
Is that Alan's-
Ollie Brennan is Alan's mate. I believe
Alan
he
is
plays
John's
tennis.
brother who plays tennis. Okay, Ollie...
You're so close. Does begin with a B.
Behrman.
Ollie Behrman.
Ollie Behrman.
So,
I think
yeah.
I've done that before. Yeah, we have named an episode.
We made this
after him
exact
before.
same mistake last time as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
So
deja
for
vu.
those who don't know, Ollie Behrman, he's in the Ferrari Young Driver programme. Carlos Sainz, I think he had his appendix out or something, so
Yeah.
Ollie Behrman stepped in for him in, I believe, Saudi Arabia, scored points on his debut for Ferrari. I mean, I can't think of anyone else who's debuted with Ferrari, save for people probably in the 1960s and 70s when that might have been common, but these days, normally you debut with another team and then move your way up. This guy, first ever Formula 1 race was for Ferrari.
No pressure.
No pressure, and he scored points. And then he did 2 more races with Haas, who, for those who don't watch Formula 1, one of the teams towards the lower end of the grid. And I think he scored points in, well, he definitely scored points in 1, maybe both races. So to do that in a Haas is very impressive.
Okay.
So I'm excited to see what he's going to do. Yeah.
You usually do call out good drivers in advance. Cause I remember years ago, you telling me how excited you were for George.
Yeah.
And he's like one of the top drivers, isn't he?
Oh yeah. I really rate George.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, on his day, maybe I'm biased as a British fan, but I think on his day he's as good as anyone out there. So yeah. So I'm excited to see George when he's got a championship winning car. Yeah. I'm trying to think what phrase. Yeah, Yeah, so when he's got he's won races before, but when he's got something that's consistently up there, I'm excited to see it. But anyway, it's not a Formula 1 podcast. Welcome to episode 50, the Ollie Behrman special.
Welcome. So let's start with just giving people a bit of an update. Last week was a very quick episode because you were stuck in the middle of a trial.
I was.
Things haven't really slowed down for us since then.
Things have not slowed down. I've been in back-to-back complicated trials, haven't I?
Yes. So we recorded that, I think it was like 4 o'clock on Friday we recorded it.
Oh, it was a super late episode,
It was a
wasn't
super late episode. What did we do on Saturday?
So, I think this was another weekend of work for me. Yeah.
Oh, no, but we did have things to do. Hang on, let me check the calendar, because I know we haven't stopped.
Yeah, we haven't
stopped.
So
what have we been doing? Okay, yeah, you were working all day. I went out for drinks with the girls.
That was it, yeah.
Sounds a bit selfish, actually. It's been non-stop. Yeah, I was out drinking with the girlfriends. First time in a year that we've had time to go out and have a drink with a couple of friends and my sister, so that was really nice.
Yeah.
Sunday, we went to the cathedral, didn't we?
We did. For those who don't know, Hayley and I are going through various ceremonies in the Catholic Church. So I've been a Catholic since birth, and the only sacrament I've not been through is confirmation. So I need to go through that. And Hayley is converting from the Anglican Church, so she's been baptised.
Yep.
But you need to go through effectively. You need to go through Eucharist and confirmation as well.
Yep, and we thought it'd be nice to do that before our wedding in October.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have everything done all in one go, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So, given that it's the start of Lent and we'll complete all of our sacraments by Easter Sunday, the first Sunday in Lent, we go to a service in the cathedral where all of we're known as candidates. Those who are converting to the Catholic Church are known as catechumens. So there was a service for all of us at the start of Lent, and it was quite nice.
It was so nice. We got to meet the Archbishop.
Yeah. Our
sponsors, who are kind of like our adult godparents, aren't they? I think that's what sponsors are. That's the easiest way to compare them.
I suppose so, yeah. I mean, those who are joining the Catholic Church need specific godparents.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying...
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah.
If you had to explain a sponsor, the easy thing I would say is like the adult version of godparents.
They're there to vouch for us, aren't they? Because they're people who've been through everything, all the sacraments, and they're there to say, yeah, I'm a good, honest Catholic, and they're there to oversee us and guide us through, aren't they, basically?
Yeah, confirm we're doing everything properly, and they're going to help us with the ways of the Catholic Church.
Indeed. So Sunday was a busy day, wasn't it? We had Mass in our church, plus our service in the cathedral.
Yep, non-stop. And then Monday... Were you in court all day Monday?
Oh, Monday was a busy day. I was in multiple courts.
Yeah, yes.
Welcome to the criminal bar. Things change at last minute. So I was in several different, physically in 2 courts, but virtually in about 4 different courts. I had that many hearings, because I had a few virtual hearings as well. That was a manic day.
Yep.
So this week, even though I'm not a trial this week, I've got actually, I say that I had a trial today, but...
Yes. So Monday you had 4 different things.
Yeah.
Tuesday... You weren't in court, but we were back to back with business meetings for speed mooting, weren't we?
Yeah.
Keep an eye on this space, guys.
Keep an eye
Exciting
on
things
soon,
are coming. Then we had to drive to Workington.
Yeah.
So that's what, a 3-hour drive? 2-hour drive?
Yeah.
Drove there. You had a case there today, a trial there today.
Yeah.
We've just driven all the way back. It's 7:30 in the evening now. We've just got home. God, we need to record this podcast because otherwise we're not going to get another chance.
Nope.
Because tomorrow we're off to London.
Yeah.
For the Nexus Awards.
Indeed we are.
Very big deal. John is shortlisted for the Diversity and Inclusion Award.
Yeah.
For all of the work he does with speed mooting. So we're all cheering him on.
Indeed. Let's go.
Let's go, John. Friday we'll be coming back from London. Saturday? There's something Saturday.
Something on Saturday, yeah.
Oh my God, what is Saturday?
Oh, I've got a gig.
Oh yeah, it's good. Saturday's good though. It's busy.
Yeah, Saturday's all right actually. So yeah, I mean, I'm not really a massive music type guy, so I don't really go to gigs. But this one, this is going to be interesting. I am going to see. Let's have a drum roll. The man himself, Mr. Fred Durst and Co. I am going to see Limp Bizkit. Yeah.
And if you didn't guess already, John is a big WWE fan, and that's linked into it, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's funny you should mention this actually. So, because we were talking about this a while ago, and I said I can guarantee every single person in this gig will have watched WWE at some point in their life. It's just such a link between Limp Bizkit and WWE. And I think I've mentioned this before. There's a podcast I really like. It's called Insight with Chris Van Vliet. And to be fair, this podcast is heavily influenced by his podcast. So ours is all about answering questions, just speaking generally. So is his. He names every episode after athlete, and then at the end, he refers to his listeners as real ones, all the rest of it. So shout out to Chris Van Vliet because he's heavily influenced this podcast. And by chance, he was talking about it weeks later, and he was talking about different bands. And he was saying if there's one band that you could say is like just so inextricably linked to WWE, it's Limp Bizkit. Because he said, there's a few others, like, you've got Saliva and Disturbed, who've done a few songs.
Saliva?
Yeah.
There's a band called Saliva.
Yeah. Wow. Google them.
Oh, okay.
I think they did Edge's theme tune, if I remember rightly, Saliva.
No idea.
It's kind of heavy metal. It's not really my kind of music, but, they did the theme tunes for various artists. Disturbed, they did Stone Cold Steve Austin's. But yeah, the point I'm making is he said, yeah, there's links, but if there's one way you say, they're literally so closely linked, it's Limp Bizkit and WWE. So I can guarantee every person at this gig will have been a wrestling fan at some point in their life. And for those who don't know, probably the most famous song by Limp Bizkit is Rollin', which of course was The Undertaker's theme when he was the American Badass and used to come out on a motorbike.
Insert B-roll here.
Insert B-roll. I can just visualise it, WrestleMania 18 when he came out with the American flag on his shoulder and everything.
I wonder if it'll get copyrighted because it's not. Well, technically, it's not wrestling, is it? But it's known with the wrestling because last time we put a B-roll in.
I can't believe they pulled that down. We were doing such a good promotion for them, and they pulled it. I mean, Triple H.
It's not like we were taking credit for it.
Yeah, we're promoting your product, Triple H. Come on, sort your company out, mate. We're doing you a favour here.
Of course we are.
Yeah.
All promotion, publicity is good publicity.
Yeah.
Anyway,
let's move on.
Wait, we're still talking through our schedule.
Oh, sorry.
We haven't finished. So while you're doing Limp Bizkit rolling. Yep. So I will be wedding dress shopping. So very different Saturdays.
Yeah.
And then Sunday we've got an appointment to see our wedding venue.
Indeed, yeah. Indeed.
That'll be nice. No doubt you'll have 6 cases on Monday to prep for as well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
the way it goes, the glamour of the criminal bar, eh?
Yeah, the glitz and the glamour. But it's going to be exciting, and I am looking forward to tomorrow. And I'm going to try and do a vlog of comes to the awards with us. That'll be fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, so remind me to keep getting my phone out and recording footage for that.
Yeah. I was going to say, coming back to Saturday, so you see these people all the time, posting about, what they think a lawyer does, looks like, how they act, all that, and, you think, I don't know whether this is the case, but you probably expect this sophistication, whatever. The group of us who are going, I'm a barrister, the other 2 are solicitors, so it's 3 lawyers going to see Limp Bizkit, and it couldn't be any less of a lawyery type concert. So,
no, definitely.
So the point I'm going to make is, if you've got something you're interested in, it's quirky.
Who cares?
You do you be yourself. Don't bow down to, I think I've got to do this. And to be fair, if you're going into pupillage interviews, training contract interviews, talk about it. It's something different.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is saying that they're into croquet or... I love that. We're trying to think about what lawyers are into. The first thing, croquet and opera.
That's us trying our best to be stereotypical.
Yeah.
We haven't got
if you're into croquet and opera, fair play, you know what I mean?
You could do them both at the same time.
Yeah. Do them both at the same time. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever, but we're just trying to think of stereotypical lawyer type things. But yeah, if you're into...
Limp Bizkit.
I don't even know what genre of music Limp Bizkit is, but
it's got to be pop.
I think it's rap rock or something like that because it's so unique. I don't even know who a rival band is really, but
Well, if you know what the genre is,
Yeah, if
comment
you know the
below and
genre,
tell
let
us.
us know. Yeah, let us know.
Anyway, that is our very, very hectic schedule. That's a snapshot of a week in the life of the speed mooting team.
Indeed.
And that's very typical. That's not even one of our busiest weeks.
I know, yeah. That's a fair point, actually.
But we love it. Would we change it?
Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
Anyway, we do have a segment to talk about today, don't we, John?
We do. So we did a post today. So while we were up in Worthington, Hayley and I were sat in Wetherspoons, weren't we?
Having some lunch.
Having some lunch. Shout out Tim Martin. Thank you for the beautiful lunch.
I'm sure he prepared it himself.
Tim Martin was in the kitchen making it himself. But yeah, three courses for 15 quid. You can't go wrong, can you?
No, you really can't.
So anyway, we're there having our lunch in Spoons, and at the same time we were putting together a post, weren't we?
Mm-hmm.
All about
handling your nerves.
In
the courtroom.
For new lawyers, because it's absolutely nerve-wracking. So I thought we'd spend some time talking about that.
Yeah.
And, you know, certainly for yourself, Hayley, you had to do some advocacy years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a relatively straightforward piece of advocacy, would you say?
Very much so. But in my head, it was the most... Well, it wasn't even complicated in my head, but it was the most daunting, terrifying task that I'd done so far in my career.
In your head, you might as well have been going to the Supreme Court
to
argue on the most important issues in the world.
Yeah.
And it's like that with anything. We were on a Q&A panel, or I was on a Q&A panel, you were there, and I was telling the people in attendance that when I did my first ever piece of criminal advocacy, not long after qualifying as a solicitor, it was a first appearance which, well, I think a first appearance is actually a very important hearing, but they can be straightforward in terms of the amount of preparation and the amount of reading involved. And this one was, it was a relatively minor offence. The IDPC, which are the initial prosecution papers, had about 8 pages of significance in them, so nothing much at all, something that would take you a couple of minutes to read, and, it'd take me not very long to prepare that now. But I was saying, it took me like 4 or 5 hours preparing for this, because I went through everything to the nth degree, and that's the point, when you start out, you overthink and you over-prepare, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No, because it helps with the nerves, doesn't it?
Of course it does. Because this is one of the points we were talking about on this post. Well, where do the nerves come from?
Yeah.
So, a couple of things. Number one, it's something new. You've never been in a courtroom before.
Yeah.
So, naturally, you're always going to be nervous about that. I don't care how good you are. The first time you're going into a courtroom for real, you're going to be nervous.
Yeah.
The fear of making a mistake, the fear of getting something wrong.
Yeah.
What's the phrase they use? The imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Am I good enough? Do I belong here?
Yeah.
Where else do the fears come from? I think just a bit of the
fear
of
of public speaking, isn't it?
The fear of public speaking as well.
You just put it on like such a pedestal, don't you? And you're like, oh God, I can't do this. Even if you could sit in a pub with 10 friends, and you could say, oh wait, let me tell you all about this, and everyone sits and listens to you. That is public speaking, but you wouldn't class it as such, would you? No. But when someone says, right, go in this meeting and present this case to 10 people, oh God, or in the courtroom with like 2 magistrates and 1 other person, you're like, oh God.
Yeah.
You don't realise you do public speaking naturally as part of your everyday life, but as soon as it's titled as such, it's suddenly terrifying.
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it? Because as you say, let's say you were in the pub and someone went, oh, so what's this case you're working on at the moment? And you went, oh, so it's all about, obviously, if you were talking about this in a way that didn't breach confidentiality or privilege or what have you, but, whatever. Let's say you were just talking about the,
Could be not your case, but a general case.
Could be not your case. Let's say we live in a world where privilege and all the rest of it doesn't exist. So we're in this fancy world for a moment, and someone in the pub goes, so tell me everything about this case. And you talk about it.
And they could be saying to you, but what about this? I don't understand that. What about that? And you go, well, let me tell you, this is what it is.
And you talk about it so naturally, don't you?
And you've been intervened. That's like a variation of judicial intervention, isn't it?
Judicial intervention, isn't it?
God, that's terrible. How can you argue that? Well, the point is...
Yeah.
But suddenly,
put yourself in a courtroom.
It's terrifying.
And it's terrifying. Or you couldn't talk about it in the same natural way, and you feel you've got to talk in this certain way and this. So, as you say, Hayley, it's so strange, isn't it? It's this mental block, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, everyone gets that. There's actually nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah, so that's number one. You know, you just got to realise that you've got the ability to do it. And I think coming back to, you know, the imposter syndrome point, the point is, if you're allowed to go to the courtroom because you've qualified, you know, somebody's had the faith in you to give you a pupillage or a training contract, so you must have the skills, you must have the ability.
Yeah.
Or even if you're not qualified yet, you know, let's say you're in a paralegal role, or you're doing outdoor clerking, I think it's called, you know, county court agency advocacy stuff. Somebody's put you in that position and said, yeah, we're happy with you. Yeah. So you've got the skills, you've got the competence, so don't question yourself from that point of view. So you've obviously got that skill.
Yeah.
This video is brought to you by Speed Mooting. We are an organisation that help aspiring and junior lawyers. We run online and in-person advocacy and mooting competitions. We do online advocacy and public speaking training, and we run lots of other events to assist people on their legal journey. To learn more, visit our website, speedmooting.com.
And if you know, as we were saying, you spent 4 hours preparing for a case when you were new. I spent far too long preparing for that little piece of advocacy I had to do when I was new. But it does help with the nerves, doesn't it? Because you know, I've gone over this a million times. I know everything about this case. I've thought about it. Every question that I think it could be asked, I've got an answer ready. Yeah. And it just helps with the nerves.
Of course it
and
does.
You find yourself... It's one of them things as well, isn't it? Once you start speaking, you relax. So that'll help you going in with the nerves, and you'll probably get more comfortable like 5 minutes into your submission. So then if there are questions that are asked to you, it won't feel so scary because the adrenaline's hit and you're halfway through submission, so it feels easier, doesn't it, once you get going? But the fact of like starting, if you've done tons of prep, then you won't feel as scared to start.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the other thing as well is, know that, you must have colleagues. You can speak with them. Anything you're unsure of, you can double check. Well, I say you can. I'm assuming that you're going to have nice colleagues.
Everyone's got colleagues or mentors that you can talk to. Yeah.
So find somebody that you can speak to. You can just run points past.
Yeah. You and there's a couple of people in your chambers, isn't there? You're always on the phone to each other, just bouncing ideas backwards and forwards.
Bouncing. And likewise at the CPS, we'd always be on the phone to each other. You know, Microsoft Teams, having a chat. God, what do you reckon about this?
Yeah.
So even when you're 10, 20, 30 years into the profession,
it's very
you're
normal.
Always going to be. And I have people, because I've got a specialism in motoring, for example. I do all forms of crime, but I do a lot of motoring stuff, and I get people who are way beyond my call, and they'll get a motoring case. Oh, John, I've got this. Can I just run this past you? So it even goes the other way. People more experienced than me come to...
it's not necessarily a hierarchy thing, is it? It's
absolutely
just,
not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not at all.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. So don't be afraid to run ideas past other people.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest thing to combat the nerves and combat the imposter syndrome is practice, isn't it? The more you do it, the more you realise, oh, I can do it, and I'm actually really good at it. So if you do it once and it's scary and you never do it again, you're never going to overcome that fear, you're never going to overcome the nerves. You've got to get back on the horse, right? I've done that hearing, let's do another one, let's do another one, let's do another one. And before you know it, you've been on your feet talking to a judge, talking to a tribunal, whoever it is, 10 times. The nerves will start to lessen, won't they? Because you're getting used to it, and you're getting faith in your ability from practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think even saying that, nerves are normal, aren't they? And you still get nervous now, like a rush of adrenaline before you stand up or before you start your closing speech. Yeah. It's healthy. It makes you perform better, doesn't it?
Yeah. So for me, the way it materialises, it's kind of butterflies in the stomach, and I'll always look at my notes again just before. Am I going to remember this first line that I'm going to say, whatever? And as I say, it's normally butterflies that appear in the stomach, and for me, I think that's normal. And as you say, it's the adrenaline, isn't it? And I use that to fuel me. Mm-hmm. And I think the day that they go away is the day that I become complacent.
Yeah.
So if you're still becoming nervous, don't panic. It shows that you're interested. It shows that you actually care.
Yeah.
And what you'll find is that once you get, a couple of sentences into your submissions, you're absolutely fine.
Yeah.
You'll be flowing from there.
Mm-hmm.
And, within the post, we broke it down into submissions and witness handling, didn't we?
We did.
So, just some simple tips if you're doing submissions advocacy, and that's likely what you're going to be doing a significant amount of when you first start out.
Yeah.
Particularly if you're not qualified yet, you're going to be doing PAN applications, you're going to be doing infant approvals, that kind of thing. So, I think there's nothing wrong initially typing out, because you are going to spend hours prepping it. Type out a speech, practice it a number of times, and do this for your first few hearings. And what you'll
almost
find, you
memorise
get into,
it. Yeah,
you'll find you start getting yourself into a bit of a system. And as time goes on, you'll find you need fewer notes. Let's say you're in crime, you're doing a lot of police and mitigation, that kind of thing. Over time, you'll speak to the clients and you'll take really, really detailed notes, and you'll almost have it as a speech. And then you'll get to the point where you're just jotting down notes on a piece of paper, and you can go in off a couple of bullet points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as much as we say, don't rely on a script, and you can't do your best advocacy when you're relying on a script, I think everyone starts that way, though.
Yeah,
especially if you're nervous, everyone probably just
Yeah.
start with a script, with a speech. And it's fine. The more confident you get, the less you'll need it. But if that's what you need to lessen the nerves, then do whatever you need to do.
And as long as you've really done the preparation and you really know the case well, even if you've got a script and you kind of, you've got your laptop in front of you and you're kind of looking up and down at the judge, magistrate, whoever it is, you might find there's judicial intervention. And if you know the case that well, you can answer the questions and move around.
Yeah.
The other tip I'll give on that is, if you have got materials, whether they're electronic, whether it's in a bundle, make everything easy to find. So if you're going to need to refer to, I don't know, whatever it might be, some sort of exhibit in the middle of your submissions, when you get to that part of your script, mark it off and know where you can find it in the bundle or on your screen very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Just makes life easy for you, because the last thing you want is you go, I've got to refer to this, and you can't find it.
Yeah, and when your nerves are already heightened, something like that. I mean, for an experienced advocate, if there is a moment where something's not bundled correctly, you can just ask for a moment and you stay cool, you'll stay calm, won't you?
Yeah.
But if you're a beginner and you're nervous, that's like, oh God, the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Because you'll panic.
Yeah.
To make sure everything is in a really easy, accessible way.
Easy, yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is, you're going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. You're going to trip over your words. You're going to, if you are, let's say you're very early and you've still got a full script. I say very early, actually. Closing speeches, I still type a script for that. So there's certain pieces of that submissions advocacy I type scripts for. So there's certain things that you might go your whole career doing. I know there are other advocates that do that. So when I say at the beginning, I'm not saying you can't ever use scripts again. There is. As long as you're able to just use that as a foundation for you, and you're still looking up at the bench, what have you, at the judge, that's absolutely fine. But you'll get to the point where mistakes are going to happen. It just does. You trip over yourself, you miss a point, whatever it might be. Don't panic. Don't say, very sorry, I've made a mistake. No. All this. Don't show all the signs. People know that you've made a mistake, and it's fine. And you can just correct yourself. You can just restart the sentence if you need to. So let's say you're going through and you say, I don't know, so I'm referring to the table, and the table is a lighter shade of, and you at that point you've tripped up. I'm talking about a table because I'm literally looking at a table in front of me that's a lighter shade of wood. So you've stopped at that point and you go, and yes, so the table is that lighter shade of wood. Stop, and you just go back to the start of the sentence. No problem. The judge knows that. In a couple of sentences' time, the judge has forgotten all about the fact that you tripped over your word. So absolutely nothing wrong.
Or you stumble and you have a little stutter and you say, the case of, excuse me, Your Honour, the case of, and you just, no one cares, it's fine. Yeah. We're all human.
The other aspect of advocacy is witness handling. Mm-hmm. Now, you might find that you get involved with this early on. So if you do, let's say you're doing your county court advocacy stuff, you might do some small claims trials. So, there'll be elements of witness handling there. If you do crime, you'll certainly be doing, as a solicitor, you'll certainly be doing trials in the magistrate's court from the outset.
Yep.
And likewise, as a barrister, you'll be getting magistrate's court trials, maybe even Crown Court trials during pupillage as well.
Yep.
I certainly know of people that do Crown Court trials during pupillage. You need witness handling skills, but obviously that adds an element of pressure as well, doesn't it?
Yes.
Because it's a different type of advocacy, and
that brings with it a different set of nerves, doesn't it?
of course it does.
Yeah.
Because with witness handling,
it's the fear of unknown, isn't it?
Exactly. You don't know how a witness is going to respond. So dealing with evidence in chief first, this can be quite difficult because it can be hard, particularly if you're new to this, to get the witness to come up to proof, to say what's on the page, even though they've had their witness statement there before, and let's say prosecuting, they've had their witness statement there with them, they come into court, they've no longer got it, and you're trying to get a particular piece of information out and you're just going round the houses. Just have patience, just take it step by step by step, and just know, you're in control, you're the advocate, you can ask, you've got as much time as you need to be asking the questions.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously don't breach the rules of evidence, and don't be asking unnecessarily leading questions and effectively giving evidence yourself. So just have a little bit of patience there.
Yeah.
Cross-examination as well, that can be particularly daunting, and it'll take time for this to click, but you're never going to get a witness to give you all, particularly in cross-examination, all the answers that you want. It's just not going to happen.
No, it's not like it is on TV where you catch them out and then they're like, oops, okay, yeah, I did murder them.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, that's
happen.
it. And no matter, whatever traps you set, and you can preface it with all the right questions, so you're just ready to pull the trap door, they'll always find a way around it, or just not even answer the question at all. So even when a witness is, I remember reading a book on advocacy years ago, and he said there, what was the phrase that was used? It was something like, struggling for dear life or something. They'll always find a way around it. So it's not about, ultimately getting those right answers. Sometimes it's just about asking the questions and letting the question hang.
Yeah.
So let's say it's a burglar in the middle of the night. Someone's arrested at 3 a.m. near to the address you're prosecuting, and let's say they're running identification. It wasn't me, I just happened to be there. You might, as part of your cross-examination, one of the questions might be, well, what were you doing there at that time in the morning?
Yeah.
They'll give some sort of answer, but you've let it hang because everyone's thinking, whether it's a jury, whether it's magistrates, well, what was this person doing at that place? Obviously that's not the only question you've asked. You will have set it up with so many, but I'm making the point that this is one of those times where you've asked the question and you're letting it hang, and they'll give you some answer.
I was going for a jog. I like to jog at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm going to suggest that's not true and that you were there because you've been at that property. No, I haven't. I was jogging. I always jog. I'm going to suggest otherwise. And it doesn't matter then because you've said it, haven't you? You've put it, so then you can use it in your closing speech.
Yeah.
That's the main purpose of it.
Yeah. And the reason I'm saying this is because a lot of advocates, when they start out, get worried about how they're going to cross-examine, trying to get all the right answers. More often, it's more about the questions than the answers.
Yeah.
Just think about how it's going to lead into your closing speech. So, in terms of that, if you have got trials coming up, if you're relatively junior and you're a bit nervous about it, witnesses, it can be difficult. They are an unknown quantity.
Mm-hmm.
But, just think about your questions, think about the themes, and, if you need time to take a break, look back at your notes, just to make sure you've covered everything, you've not missed anything.
Yeah.
Take that time.
Yeah.
I think we've covered a fair bit there, haven't we?
Yeah. Like balancing your nerves is probably one of the biggest things that puts people off when they think about doing the barrister route or the advocate route. Oh, I'm not a good public speaker, or I couldn't do that, I'd be too nervous. So just know that, you're not alone. Even the ones that absolutely want to do it and think they'll love it will still feel really nervous at first. So everyone can do it with practice, preparation, and if you follow all of our tips.
Exactly, and that's it. You've just hit the nail on the head there, Hayley. It's one of those things, it just comes with time. You can read all the books in the world about press-ups. Unless you start doing press-ups, you're never going to be able to do them. And likewise, with the same example, the more you do, the better you become, the more you can do in a set, etc.
Yep.
The same principle applies to advocacy. The more you do, the better you become. the better you become, the more confident you become. The more confident you become, the nerves start to go away. So it just takes time.
Well, we hope that was helpful.
Yeah.
Shall we conclude by talking about what's coming up? Because
I
I think we have something on Tuesday next week, don't we, John?
That we do. So this Tuesday, it is the public speaking session of the Advocacy Club.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always a good way to build up your submissions advocacy, the public speaking. And it's pretty good anyway. It's a good skill for any lawyer to have, whether you're a contentious lawyer, non-contentious, solicitor, barrister, legal exec, doesn't matter. It's a good skill to have, public speaking. So it's a low pressure environment. You get to speak about anything you want, whether it's legal or non-legal. So we always have a good laugh at that one.
Yep. I bet if you were a member of the Advocacy Club and you had to perform this, would you do a speech on John Cena's heel turn?
Oh yeah, I would have to. Do you know what?
You should do that next time at the Speakers Club.
Yeah, next time at the Speakers Club. I think we spoke about this briefly last week. I'm still haven't really got over it properly.
No.
And the annoying thing is we haven't seen John Cena since. We haven't seen him since. So I think he's next booked in on the 17th of March on Monday Night Raw. So that's going to be an interesting episode. But yeah, a speech all about John Cena's heel turn.
There we go.
Yeah, the ultimate face. I saw something the other day that said someone who's been a face means a goodie. Someone who's been a face for longer and has never had a heel run in the WWE. Rey Mysterio.
Oh.
Imagine if Rey Mysterio has a heel turn as well.
Like joins up with John Cena and The Rock.
That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Well, there you go. If you're listening and you are coming to the Advocacy Club next week, then feel free to take that idea and do a speech on John Cena. John would love it.
Oh yeah, I'd be really interested to hear that. And, maybe we have a bit of a discussion at the end about John Cena's heel run. Or if you've got any thoughts, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Be interested to hear them.
Yep. And on that note, I think we need to call it night because we need to go shopping because we've got no food in because we've been away for days.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's do that. Let's bring it to an end. Hayley, have you enjoyed recording the episode?
I've enjoyed recording it.
I've enjoyed recording it. We hope you've enjoyed listening. And if you are still listening at this point, let's say overcoming nerves.
Yes.
With a smiley face.
Yeah. Or a strong arm emoji.
Or a strong arm. Yeah.
Whichever one you think's more fitting.
Or any emoji you think appropriate.
Definitely. And if you've got some further tips, if you've had experience overcoming nerves and something helped you that we've not mentioned, then comment and share it and tag us because we're all here to help each other. We're all one big, happy Speed Squad community, so
that we are.
Your insight can help our listeners just as much as John and I rambling on hopefully helps people.
Absolutely. Feel free to share your tips. One last thing we didn't mention. We've been naming all of our episodes after Formula 1 drivers.
Yeah.
The Formula 1 season's back this weekend. We didn't even talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
Very briefly.
Quick shout out
Quick shout out for that. And we're both going to shout out who we think is going to win the Grand Prix this weekend in Australia.
Okay.
Who are you calling?
Lewis Hamilton, the Ferrari.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm going Max Verstappen.
Lewis was best. Spoiler alert. But Lewis was doing best in the practice, wasn't he?
Oh, was he? Okay. I didn't.
I think so.
I think on one of the days he was top. I mean, I don't look at testing too much because
it's tactical, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, I'm going Lewis.
I'm saying Max. Any different thoughts? Comment below, and let's bring it to an end. And we'll see you next week, hopefully, with a diversity and inclusion award.
Hopefully, yeah.
Cheerio.
Bye.
Bye now.
Enjoying our videos? Then we'd be super grateful if you could take a moment and subscribe to our channel.